Give me just a moment. Okay. Did you play comp during the bugs that were going on?
What again?
The competitive bugs. Did you hear about them?
No.
Well, essentially, people who were placed in comp when the Roll Q beta season ended this morning or yesterday when they were playing comp, there was apparently a bug that wasn't taking into consideration like your past SR, and so Overwatch League pros were like placing mid gold, and it was pretty hilarious actually. The whole system was completely fucked, so they disabled competitive play and then rolled back on the beta until they fix it. So they fucked it up, but it's still pretty amusing. All right. Right.
Small in the company, as usual.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that can be right dope sometimes. Right, so Mei. Mei is obviously one of the most important DPS in the current meta, mostly for her ability to control, take space, and the fact that the meta is so it's kind of clustered at the moment. It is more bunker than anything else really. So Mei really thrives at that, and especially since they gave her multi-freeze to freeze multiple targets with her left click instead of just one, that's what really gave her play. She's one of those DPS that got overtuned to try and deal with goats. That didn't work, but then one goat's obviously been removed because of roll lock. She's now still overtuned, so she's quite strong. She'll probably get nerfed, I imagine, before too long, but we'll see. So the first thing to think about with Mei is it really does depend on your team comp, and although she's really really strong, she doesn't work with a lot of comps. She has to work with a kind of a comp that can capitalize with Mei. Like Mei's a real team player. You can't really play solo Mei because if you are, you might as well be playing like Genji or Tracer or something. So you want to be sticking with your team. So if you're playing defense, you're kind of playing around this area. As Mei, you've kind of got a couple of main goals. The first is obviously freeze, right? If there's flankers or anything, you freeze them, then you click them in the head. That's easy enough. I don't think I need to teach you too much about that. Like Mei's right click is difficult to hit, so practicing that is a really important part of a kit. But obviously, you know how to left click something until it's frozen, then right click it in the head. Obviously, try and throw in a melee punch if you need to really guarantee the kill. But that's kind of the main basics. But the other things that are a bit more important and a bit more niche about Mei, it mostly stems from the use of her Ice Wall, right? It's a really important tool. And I brought her on Hanamura specifically to show it. Obviously, right, you've probably seen it before, but Mei will kind of sit around that area, and then they'll wait for the enemy team to push through, and then they'll wall off this area here, right? Locking them behind a wall, and unless the enemy team is quick enough in destroying the pillar, and often if they're not in voice comms, they'll shoot different pillars, and that's an advantage for you. But if they don't break it, then you can kill whoever comes in was in front, and usually that's if they're playing Reinhardt. That's usually a really good target for it. Like Mei's really good against Reinhardt Zarya, because unless the Zarya has a bubble for the Rein, they're two tanks that can be easily frozen. The Reinhardt mostly. Like if he's trying to swing hammers, that's no good. She's also good against Sigma. Keep that in mind. But something you want to try and keep in mind is not giving the opportunity for clever enemies to see it coming. So most players around plat, diamond, and above will see the wall coming. If you're just sitting here with me and you're like, oh yeah, we just and then you're sitting there like this, waiting for the enemy to come through, they're going to cluster together and speed boost through before you can wall, or they're going to try and bait it out with a diva or something. So my first tip is if you can get a wall off on a choke, I'm saying consider here, consider hiding to do it. So instead of standing here, stand here to the side, and then deploy the wall so it's facing kind of out from you. Yeah, exactly like that. So if you're hiding here, you're much more difficult to see. The only way they can see you is through this little gap here. But for the most part, if there's a kind of your 8 teamer here and they're just spamming through the choke like pew, 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 and you're standing here, although you're not getting as much spam damage because you're not doing anything while you're sitting here, the moment someone walks through, well, they don't see it, freeze the death, right? So that's the first thing. And this obviously isn't the only choke you can do this. You can do this on Volskaya. You can do this on certain points on Havana. You know, there's quite a lot of different ways you can do it. Keep in mind, yeah, Gibraltar's a great one. There's loads of ones, even just on the first point, like the tunnel that goes underneath. That's a great way to wall off enemies, especially if you drop down as well. Sorry, one sec.
I guess Mei useful on every map actually.
Pretty much, yeah. Like she struggles a lot more on I'd say the maps that she's worst at are either open ones or center points that are open, right? Because if if the map is too open for her to have chokes, if you can't wall off chokes, so like imagine that this whole thing is just one big door and that this is just open space. Walling here isn't going to matter because they can just walk through this space. But yeah, but
even in attack a wall here.
yeah, exactly. There aren't too many maps like that, and most maps are designed so that there are chokes. I guess the ones to look out for, if I think about it, Dorado can be quite open, at least on second point. There's a lot of alternate routes you can take.
Junktown is a little hard.
Junktown's the most open map in the game, so Junktown's definitely a really weak one for me. Havana can be weak on first and third, except for the gate. Like the last point of third is good, and second's pretty okay, but there's still the high ground. So if you try and wall them off high ground, they can just jump down to low ground, and if vice versa. But it's still okay. So Havana, Junkertown, parts of Horizon.
Still good install.
Yeah, it's still good install. Mei's always great install, obviously with the Ice Cube. Yeah, I mean, the other main tip, and I don't, this is more for organized play, but Blizzard is a very strong ultimate, right? It's obviously a game changer when it comes down to executing properly. And if you're playing Mei against any kind of comp that sticks together, it's fantastic. Throw in an Orisa pull, chuck out Blizzard, GG's. But the thing to remember is it's so easy for any off tank with half a brain to eat it. Like it's the easiest thing for a diva to eat because it's got quite a slow movement speed as a projectile, like the snow cone, snowball when you throw them out. So there's a few things. If there's an enemy diva on the team, the best thing is to freeze the diva and then chuck it at your feet before she can defreeze, right? So you freeze the diva, then you throw out Blizzard before she can thaw out, and then hopefully no one eats it. Remember, Sigma can eat it too. But
wait, full of magics.
Yeah, well, there you go. You want to be really careful about that, but there is a secret technique passed down by Mei's. If you really want to get a Blizzard off and you're really worried that the diva is going to eat it, then the best thing to do, let's imagine that the diva is by this rock, right? And the rest of the enemy team is here, pushing it to point or whatever. Diva is right there. What you want to do is something like this. What that essentially means is, essentially you want to wall off the diva, immediately throw out your ultimate so it hits the wall, and then as soon as it's bounced off the wall and it's deployed, then break the wall again, because the Blizzard drone will be blocked by your walls line of sight, but not enemy walls line of sight. So if they wall off your drone, it doesn't do anything. If you wall off your drone, it does prevent it freezing. So you want as soon as the wall is deployed.
Or you can just drop it under yourself.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can drop out your feet, but obviously for that to be effective, you have to be quite close.
In the middle.
The thing is, yeah, and the thing is as well, not only getting in that can be okay, but the thing is, diva can still eat that. Like even in the short time where you're like, meh, if you sees you looking down, most divas know what you're trying to do, and if she has defense matrix like on you, it'll still eat it. There you go. So it's risky, and getting a Blizzard eaten is really devastating because Mei's right clicks are quite hard to hit at range, and in the double shield meta that we're in right now, the only time you really get ult charge is if you're pushing past the tank line. So, and obviously with the nerfs to ultimates as well, it takes longer for you to get Blizzard, so you really don't want to waste Blizzard. So if best case scenario, they have nothing to eat it. Second best case scenario, you freeze the diva or the Sigma if you have to, but Sigma's obviously got a cooldown. You freeze the diva and then throw it. Third best case scenario, you wall off whatever can eat it, chuck it down, and then break the wall again. Like I said, a bit of a short session because there's not really that many advanced tips with me. The hardest part of the kit comes from placing the wall quickly at range. So, for example, you're coming around choke. You've died before the rest of your team. You were like firing at range or something, and you're coming around choke. And as you were coming around from the spawn, the enemies are pushing through this gate, right? To whip up the wall and quickly wall in the right place. You see, I fucked that entirely. That's not in the right spot at all. But to quickly deploy E and then put it in the right place, depth-wise, is difficult. So that's a skill to practice. Even if you're just walking around putting walls in places. The other thing is right-click aim. It's a really it's somewhat fast, but it's not an easy thing to hit. So just practicing that in practice
fine for
range
me after Quake.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So if you have some experience with similar weapons, that helps. But landing the right clicks from range is a really good way to distinguish average Meis from good Meis, because Meis who hit long range right clicks will get their ultimate faster, and that means they win fights faster. So that's something to keep in mind. Let me see. A niche little trick. It's pretty niche. But using your wall to defend yourself from certain ultimates, obviously the standard ones you think of are like High Noon, Diva Bomb, that kind of thing. I did just a small trick that you may not think of, but it's really also really good at Hammond Mine. If Hammond does his typical spread out mines, then Pile Driver, so that you're kind of bounced into them. Deploying a wall underneath yourself so that you land on top of the wall like this, or just putting underneath yourself, the wall will detonate the mines and clear a space so that when the wall breaks, you're able to walk around freely. So walling underneath yourself if Hammond tries to use Minefield is a good tactic. Yeah, you can also block explosions from things like Riptire and Diva Bomb with your left shift, obviously, but more importantly, teammates who are behind you survive, right? If you block line of sight to Diva and Self-Destruct or Junkrat Tire, say that you're a teammate and there's a Diva Bomb running right there, if I like go, whoop, and you stay right behind me, you live. If you block line of sight. So that's, if you're working with like a duo partner or something, it's not an easy thing to pull off because you're pretty small in cryo. But if you're working with a duo partner, just let them know ahead of time. Okay, if something like if a Diva Bomb comes out, get behind me and I'll left shift for you. Obviously, that's just a niche little thing.
Yeah, I wanted to show a clip in this.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. Show it to me. Is it the one already in the Team Hecate channel? Oh, here it is. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. Look at that, Ryan. He can't do anything, right? Oh.
Next step.
Oh, nice. Very clutch. Very clutch. Yeah, Anubis is a really, it's like top 3 best maps for me because both points have got those really like really close chokes. Yeah, exactly. That's a good escape using wall like that. If you're in a situation where you're kind of surrounded by enemies and you've cryo freeze and you're like, shit, they're waiting for me. It can be worth it, especially if you've already used the healing. But even if you still have more to heal, it can be worth it popping it early to surprise them because most players know exactly how long a Mei cryo freeze ends. So if there's no reason for you to stay in cryo freeze, pop out of it early, and then yeah, basically do what you did. If you're like, say you're trying to hold this point for as long as you can to drain out time, they basically captured it, but you're the last one alive. You know, survive as long as you can. Cryo, and then try and fight in a corner because what you can do is this. Then you're hopefully safe. Like, you know, Hanzo's, anything with mobility can still get you, but if you're trying to delay point, that's my other mini tip, is fight in the corner, because you can then use that quick emergency wall to try and take space, and then maybe pop out the blizzard afterwards, you know? Yeah, good. Oh yeah, that's another thing as well. If you can, jump while moving cryo, because that way you can kind of cross mobility. So again, it's niche. Say they have a Widowmaker with sights, or a Hanzo with a sonar, or whatever, and the snipers have got you like a good view on you. When you're crossing their sightlines, so I don't know. Let's see. I guess we'll use the door again. Actually, no. We'll come up here. Say that the Widow, an attacking Widow, and attacking Hanzo is doing the typical spot, right, where he's on there, and you're here. Do you know that they've got sights on you? They're aiming at your noggin, and you want to get out. You can kind of use a cryo jump to get out through the line of sight safely, like this. Yeah, that kind of thing. It's a bad place to demonstrate it, but if you're jumping across a choke, you can kind of use that to give yourself an advantage. And if the choke is too wide for you to get all the way across using a cryo jump, just jumping and left shifting the direction, you can do a combination of cryo jump, then surprise break with a wall, like this, and then obviously wall them off. But like using both your cooldowns and a sniper, probably, unless you're playing against like Kefri or something, someone who's got god tier sniper aim, it's not usually worth using both your cooldowns like that, but you know. And if no one can deal with a sniper, then honestly, just putting a Mei wall in front of them like this is just kind of fucking hilarious anyway. So, yeah, good use of your wall is like the most important thing. Yeah, that's another good one. I don't know whether if you're using Mei in scrims and they're still trying to pull off a Goats-esque playstyle with 222, so that can be like Mei Reaper, Orisa Sigma, or whatever, and they try and do the flank route. A lot of teams that I scrim against do this, and they come up here, and they go like choke to choke, and they come up here. What the Mei will sometimes do is she'll try to wall you off so you can't wall her off. But yeah, you can from any point that, and that completely stops them advancing, which is always great. And that brings me to, I think, my final tip, which is if you're playing Mei v Mei, and especially if you're playing maybe Mei in a team organized environment, like Legion Control Center, trying to get through the door. Both teams have a Mei. Using your wall to stop them walling is a great idea. So peek out the choke. Oh, there's the Mei. So maybe the enemy Mei is like there or something, reversing it around anyway. Say you're the attacking Mei, there's a defending Mei who wants to obviously wall off your teammates as you go through. Well, instead of using a wall to try and catch the defenders out, which isn't really going to work off, if the Mei's standing there in front of their rock and she's just shooting down choke, then before your team pushes through the choke, and then you can go through safely and hopefully before she can counter wall you like across this direction or something.
Most of the time we're using wall to get closer to the team.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You can definitely use wall to kind of give yourself space. So if they're playing bunker, putting wall in front of a bunker, depending on what DPS they have. If they're playing Bastion or Junkrat or anything, then the wall's going to
mostly death ball.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Well, yeah. Death ball. If they have a lower DPS there and they don't bother trying to break the same pillar, then you can definitely use it to kind of.
Especially
if they're all flying
Mei
on
with symmetry.
Yeah, Mei Sim. So yeah, say they're playing on point for some reason, you can, wall them off. Then teleport to that high ground, and then look, you now got a great flank point. Yeah, using wall to break line of sight is fantastic. Also, use it to elevate bastions off carts. If they're playing Pirate Ship on Junkertown and you decide to play Mei on Junkertown, maybe this is the one time you'd want to. Coordinate with the team, say, okay, get ready to shoot Bastion in 3, 2, 1, and then you just say this rock is the car. You just whoop, he's lifted up, and he's like, oh shit, and then you shoot him, easy kill, because he's lifted up above things like a Rita shield. Just make sure you don't lift the shield as well, otherwise you're gonna kind of defeat the purpose. Let me see. I think I had something, but I'm trying to comment. Whoa. Oh yeah, I mean you can do that, but D.Va's can do that. That can be a good defense as well, actually. If you're in a close range Mei battle and they use Blizzard or they're freezing you, if you don't have cryo as well, the main thing is try and elevate yourself up with the wall. If she doesn't have wall, then she'll be able to reach you. So try and freeze me. You're freezing me. Yeah, just kind of slows you down a little bit. It's a good defense. And last. I keep saying last, but I'll probably have another one. If you're getting frozen, and this applies to anyone, this is more of an anti-Mei tip than anything else. If you're getting frozen and you know you're going to be frozen, that you can do about it, at the last minute, turn away and face your head down. And this makes it near impossible for the Mei to headshot you unless she immediately starts moving around. So you heal a bit. I'll try and show you. You'll see it coming.
It's a good advice for, I guess, every DPS hero, especially on the Widow. You shoot and
for tanks, exactly. It's just showing your butt towards them. For tanks, it doesn't matter quite as much because your head's fucking huge most of the time. Try and freeze me. I'll try and show it to you. You probably headshot me anyway because you'll know it's coming. But give me a freeze. Yep, and then I just whoop.
That was cool.
There you go. You still got me anyway, probably because you saw it coming. But it's not a perfect tip. It's kind of a last-ditch effort. But
it's fine. It's usually useful when I'm playing Widow against Widow.
Exactly, yeah.
Or McCree vs McCree.
Yeah. If you've got McCree Flash, it's useful for any of those kind of stun abilities, just making sure they don't get the best follow-up on it. I mean, you can combo Blizzard with other ultimates. Graviton, Sigma ult can work, but it's a strong enough ultimate that it doesn't really need it. As long as you're not the only one alive, and as long as other people can capitalize on it, it's usually worth using just on its own. And it can really win an entire team fight as long as you place it right in the center. If you really, really want to piss the main tank off, you can freeze them, and then put Blizzard down, and then continue to freeze them. Controlling Hammond is so easy as Mei as well. Honestly, if you've got your team around you, my suggestion would be to you, if Hammond comes at you, don't let go of the left click. Like, keep freezing him over and over again. Don't bother trying to fire an icicle because A, he doesn't have a crit spot when he's in ball form, right? But B, if your teammates are around to do damage, let them kill him. You just need to make sure you're constantly freezing him. And a Hammond that doesn't roll away enough, fast enough at the start of the encounter with the Mei, he will be perma-frozen by you. You just hold left click on him.
Disable his movement ability.
Exactly. He can't escape, and if he tries to use grapple hook and gets frozen,
especially if he's rolling around, you can just
Yes. A Hammond that's, for example, yeah, exactly. A Hammond that's spinning around Bell on here, for example, or any other point that's quite similar. He's just going round and round and round and round. What you can try and do, although the physics can be a bit wonky in Overwatch, so it doesn't always work. But say he's coming around here, he's coming around this corner. You can block him off and then break it, and then he'll have lost his momentum. Lost his momentum, and then you can just try and freeze him before he can get any momentum back again. And then, yeah, you freeze him, let your teammates do the damage, unless you're the only one, in which case you do have to try and kill him. But you can just hold left click over and over until he's permanently frozen over and over again, so that your teammates can kill him. And honestly,
your Ryan can use charge.
Yeah, exactly. Easy Ryan charge. Yeah. Okay, it is possible with this, right? But in the same way that shields breaking line of sight for things like Lucio, Sound Barrier, and Zenyatta Transcendence work, Mei Wall does the same thing. So if your Lucio is trying to use beat, and you're quick enough and precise enough with your wall, and you'll have to practice for this, you can try and wall him off before he's able to activate it, and he'll hopefully block him off from the rest of his team. Similarly, if
he's on your wall, is it cancel for his teammates who is under?
No,
I guess it's not.
If you lift him up, then the beat still goes off. And in fact, he'll just be.
You can only block his bits, his waves.
Yeah, you have to try and. Yeah, exactly. You have to try and separate him from the rest of the team at the point of impact. You can do the same thing with Zenyatta Transcendence. It's really difficult because Mei's wall is quite thick and chunky, and often you'll end up just kind of elevating the enemy. But it is possible to block a Zen trying to transcendence someone in a Graviton Surge. I'd probably be better
an
to
easy
do it
choice, I guess, will be Nana and
exactly.
Nate.
Yeah, if that's another great person to wall off, like even just not so you can kill them, but just so they can't get any value off. If an Anna's playing back here and supporting a team who are fighting on the point here, and you're trying to defend the point, walling them off not only means she can't come and get them, but that means she's not going to break that wall. So then, for the entire time the wall's up, they have no healing from Anna, who's probably their main healer anyway. So it's all about finding the best use of your wall, and considering it's on a pretty short cooldown, if you leave it up the entire amount of time, it's only a few seconds for your next wall. Only have to wait 5 seconds between walls isn't really that bad at all. So, using your walls to control the battlefield is the main thing with Mei. Yeah, you can find fun with Mei. She's, as long as the point's not too open, you can get good use out of her, even on attack, because, like you suggested yourself, you can wall off the defenders to give yourself more room to work with. So yeah, that's all of it. Again, as always, I just throw information at you and hope it sticks, because I'm no professional coach. But yeah, hopefully there was a couple of useful nuggets of information.
But most of the time it will depend on the comps and the second DPS.
Mei's best when she works with the team that's working with her. You want stable tanks who aren't gonna go charging off and leaving you behind, because her lack of mobility is her biggest weakness, really. If you've got a team of speedy boys with Lucio, Ryan, and Zarya, and they're all charging off ahead and balls running around.
It's the same goals.
Yeah, exactly. The best comps right now. The most popular thing in scrims is Mei, Reaper, Orisa, Sigma, or Orisa. Diva
or
sometimes. Pharmacy's fine, yeah. Orisa Diva is played to counter the enemy Meis, but like Orisa Diva, Mei Reaper. Doomfist is fine. In ladder, ladder Mei's not as strong in ladder. In scrims, Mei's great. On ladder, she's still great, but you need a good map and you need good teammates. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit wonky unless you're really good with your right clicks. Doomfist is obviously super powerful right now, so you can pretty much one-trick Doom into most situations and be okay, unless they're playing like.
Kabachi is now playing from non-ranked to GM.
Yeah, exactly. You can definitely do that with Doom easily. So, Doom's definitely like, if I had to say one DPS being really strong now, it's Doom. But he's still counterable. He's not a god. Play Hog, Sombra, and there's not a whole lot Doom can do. But Mei's pretty good. And like, hard counters wise, it's kind of hard for me to say. The only thing, like, if they're snipers and you're not really able to land headshots on them, but I mean they're standing still most of the time. Like, snipers can be difficult because you can't get close enough to freeze them, but your right click range is infinite, so you can still fight back against them. Tanks, none of them stop you. Like Roadhog, easy freeze.
Just hit
and
from
free
the
all
windows.
charge. Yeah, exactly. You can do distance, and you can even block your hooks, or if he tries to hook one of your teammates, you can block them off as well. Ball, easy counter. Sigma, easy counter. The only thing you'll watch for is use your cryo to block Sigma's rock, and you'll be fine. He can't do anything because obviously kinetic grasp doesn't block Mei free. So when he does that thing, you know, a lot of Sigmas are doing, where they have their shield up and then they put the shield down.
Absorbing only works on your right click. Yeah.
Exactly. So if he has a shield up on a choke, and he uses kinetic grasp, and then he drops the shield, so he's like he replaces the shield with his kinetic grasp to eat damage. You just W and left click, and he'll be like, oh shit, and then he'll freeze and he'll die because he can't summon the rock quick enough to stop you from freezing him. And Sigma's
is the wall still walking here?
What?
Wall still walking here?
Oh, from this angle, yeah. Go on. Let's try it with a cryo jump, maybe. No. No. So from that,
close enough, yeah.
From that point, no. But from the other end, you can go from point B to point A. If you're a defender trying to go back from spawn, you can wall from the higher platform, and that will carry you across. Yeah, yeah. There's a couple of.
What about junk?
Wait, Junkrat?
No.
Or
Junkrat. Yeah. It's the last hero for me in this game.
I got time for a bit of junk. Go on, then we can swap to junk and we can talk about it. There's not too many tips as junk either. Again, he's one of those heroes that kind of lives and dies on his spam. And I can't really give you too many tips on spam, but okay.
Especially after they changed his bouncing.
Yeah, that's true. That does actually make it a little bit easier to be more kind of deliberate with your shots. So obviously Junkrat's great against Deathball comes to like stick together, and he's obviously good on close range maps, but he's actually not so bad on long range ones either, because you can still deny areas with your spam. This is a difficult thing to dodge.
Sometimes people using him in bunker.
Yeah, absolutely, because obviously his shield break is still fantastic. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to do mobility, you can kind of have, if you think you're going to need mobility, you can set down a trap, wait for it to charge, and if you really, really want to, I mean, this trick is to do the triple mine jump. I don't know, if you really, really need mobility, wait for it to charge too, and then you can go, oh, fuck. That still made it, even though I fucked up the second one. You can use the mine to kind of really fly about for a few seconds. The main thing is this kill combo, which is, I won't do it on you because I don't need to die straight away, but is the left click. Right? And they go out at roughly the same time. So as long as you're confident that you can hit your shot and they're close enough ranges, that's an easy kill, right? On a 200 HP target. Possibly 250, I don't think so, but at least brings them to like 20 HP or something. So that's his main kill combo. Yeah, exactly that. You have to wait a second for the mine to go out, but the mine will more or less catch up to the bouncing ball. Yeah, there you go. If you fire the mine before the left click, then it'll bounce away from the shot, so you need to be careful of that. Obviously, mine's a great tool if they try and dive you. So if you're playing on choke, and they're playing a dive comp, for one, you don't really want to be playing Junkrat to dive, but just say that they are, maybe you don't have time to switch. If they are playing a dive comp with like dive tanks and everything, have a mine at your feet ready, right? Obviously, it means you can't use it in other combos, but have it at your feet ready. You don't have to put it down when they are at X, because things, for example, Diva, if Diva jumps, if they're playing Winston Diva, sorry, and they jump at you, and Diva's holding a right click as they dive, which I mean she almost always does, and you try and use your left shift to get away, she'll eat the mine, and you will be pretty screwed if you don't have any mines left. So having a mine at your feet, she can't eat this, obviously, is a pretty good idea. Maybe stand over and protect it with your body if you need to, but most of the time they won't notice it and won't really care. So you can just have it ready for shooting, and then, oh, Winston Diva are diving to me, oh, I'm out of here. And if you really need to, you can double jump by that point. So that's kind of the best way to keep away from dive tanks. Have the mine already at your feet so they can't eat it. They can still destroy it, but if you're standing on it or your body blocking it, most of the time they won't. That's just a little mini tip. You can use your trap on chokes, but the more people who walk through it, the more likely they are to notice it. So that's one thing to remember. So quite often, if you have time to set up, put it on flank routes. So around here, right? And it still acts like an alarm system because either they walk in it, and that's great because they walked in it, and you can obviously have your left shift in the trap to kill them if they do, or they break it, and that's still like a Widowmaker mine, sorry, in that it tells you, okay, someone's going down that side, and you can react to it. So keep that in mind. Also remember, the trap doesn't activate immediately. When you throw it out, there's still a second, and then it deploys. So don't try and use it reactively. It has to be preemptive, right? I guess, yeah, just knowing how the left click works. Obviously, I say this with all the heroes, but knowing how the projectiles work is important. Make sure you spend some time familiarizing yourself with it. If you can hit shots accurately instead of just kind of going, "Whoa, I hope this hits." Obviously, that does work. That's Junkrat, but being able to hit shots with precision, you'll be surprised at how lethal he can be. You can get some really insane damage numbers by actually aiming your shots. Don't just go blank and go just left click hoping you hit the general clump of enemies. Think to yourself, and honestly, usually aim a little bit higher than you think you need to as well. That's kind of much a nitty tip. I'm gonna have to damage you for a second here. Take the health back, please. I need to get Riptide. To show the Riptide tip. Riptide is obviously another great ultimate. If you can, try and find a safe space to use it. So, for example, if you're in defense again, line this up, and then go in this corner and Riptide from here. Hopefully it buys you some time if they try and find you, like a Genji or something tries to find you while you're using Riptide, and you can kill them, but there's no guarantees that that'll work. You might die using Riptide, keep that in mind. But Riptide's a great ultimate. Sorry again. Oh god, stupid ult charge times. It can get team kills, obviously. Before you use Riptide, press tab and think, who do I want to kill? Am I going for the biggest clump of enemies, which, I mean, you often will, or am I killing a specific target? Riptide is really good for that. It's almost like an assassination, right? Because you have control over it. You choose
But
exactly
you need
where
to
it goes.
dodge everything.
You need to dodge everything, and that'll be the point I come to in a second. But if, for example, your Genji has Blade, and the enemy Zen has Trance, or the enemy Lucio has Beat, use Riptide and focus that support. Either they'll pop Trance or Beat to save themselves, that's nice, because you traded Riptide for a defense ultimate, which is pretty much worth it. And then your Genji can go Blade for free, or, I don't know, whatever.
Good trade.
Yes, ults. Pun?
Good trade.
Yeah. It is definitely a good trade in terms of value, because Junkrat, even though with the nerfs and everything, Junkrat builds all pretty quickly, especially if he's the king of trash damage, which I suppose is fitting considering he's Junkrat. But he's the king of damage that doesn't kill but injures, right?
Yeah, some cancer.
Yeah.
It's Mei, it's Symmetra.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty satisfying throwing a mine against a team as they teleport through, same thing. But the thing to remember is, if you're playing Junkrat, the enemies are going to get their support ults much faster, because a lot of the time you'll do damage that doesn't kill, and they can heal from that. But yeah, you get your ult pretty quick, usually faster than most.
Don't fly in the sky against hit scans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't use your left shift to sail across. That's the easy way to get yourself killed by a sniper. You're an easy shot. But yeah, trading out spoils is great. Either you kill them or you force them to use it, so that's a really good idea. But otherwise, just aim for the biggest group of people. Quite a common tip for Riptide, is that if you push it against the surface, it's much quieter, right? So Riptide, we'll just do this. It's much more quiet, like much more silent almost. Compared to what it is. Make use of the versatility. Try and get the advantage, like height-wise, on your enemies. If you just kind of drop Riptide at ground level, then see, you can go really high up. Look at that. That's really high up. And then drop down on choke and boom. Right? That's a really good route, in fact. If you're playing defense, keep in mind, anyone with long-range damage, if they see it, they'll get it. But generally, players have a much harder time aiming like this than they do aiming at the level they're always looking at. If you force people to look upwards, that's much more difficult for them to adjust to than just shooting at the choke. So don't just charge a Riptide down a choke. Try and find alternate flank routes and high routes like you just did to get the drop on them. And you'll get easy kills. And my final tip is, for the most part, don't play Junkrat against Zarya. with the changes to her beam, if she gets to 100, that's it. They're gone. and she will melt everything in her path. So unless you're willing to deal with her specifically once you've charged her up, it's probably a better idea to play someone who has a bit more precision in their kit.
Just run away.
Yeah, or just run away. keep your distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it. Throwing a concussion mine into an enemy team from above while they're pushing. So, say for example, you're over here, and the team are pushing through. If you can aim that properly and kind of just knock them out as they approach, that spreads them out. That can be a really good opportunity for your team to dive in or to push the attack. So, more of a niche tip. But if they're pushing through a choke, you can do that, and they just kind of go into different directions. As long as you land it in the center. I guess. All right. Yeah. No. This is useful enough. My final tip for Junkrat, and this is the actual final tip, is if you have a mine in a sneaky place. So, for example, this is a pretty good sneaky place because from here you can't see the mine, and most people kind of go straight to point, so they walk over this. This is a good little sneaky point for it. If you place a sneaky mine or a sneaky trap, that's pretty good. What you can do is consider which kind of their position relative to the mine, and you'll know how the knockback works, right? Because the knockback doesn't go straight up; it goes either forwards or backwards. So even if I'm standing literally directly on this mine, it's still gonna send me forwards in an arc. So knowing that, if you put it here, and the enemy's walking towards you, and you activate it when they're here, and knock them towards you, and you're here, easy shot. Because they'll be going straight towards you in a fixed line of movement, right? So you just made the easiest shot of your life because they'll be coming straight at you. I mean, we can try and demonstrate. I don't want to miss it, but come and
can
walk over the
just
line.
throw someone away.
Yeah, exactly. You can, if you want them to stay away from you, activate it here. If you want them to come towards you for an easy left click into their face, activate when they're here. Right? That kind of small territory control is really important, and that's a great way to use your mines besides just throwing out for extra damage, which, by the way, you do want to do. You get mines pretty often. Like, look how often we're throwing these things out. So do just chuck it out for extra damage to get your ult quicker and to maybe confirm a kill or two. You'd be surprised how often that will work. But at the same time, also maybe think about having mines in secret places, so you can really boop enemies towards you or to get yourself to high ground.
And they will kill you, Widow.
Yeah, if they're playing Widow, that's that. If they're trying to dive you or push through a choke, instead of just going like this, what you can do if you really want to is deny space by doing something like this, right? And what this means is the bombs don't travel far from this doorway, or even like this.
Usually you're playing from a corner.
Yeah, exactly. So anyone who tries to walk through this, it's going to eat the mines. Like, they're either going to get it when it's in ball form or in the explosion form. So this is a really good way of territory denial. But if you fire it just like this, then there's like the whole left space here and the whole right space here. They can just dodge the mines. So instead, territory denial like this is much more effective for doorway. Oh, my voice there. For doorways and such. You can do it on any doorway. Just bounce off the fence posts, or even, I mean, this is slanted, but you can still do it on the ceilings. Leaves you a lot more vulnerable, but yeah, see? In fact, you do it. Comes down here and just fire at this right door post here. And I'll try and walk through it and like actively dodge it, and I bet you also I'll get hit. I got double hit. The first one knocked me into the second one as a point. So yeah, it's not perfect. There's still like skipping ropes you can do, and they can get through it. But yeah, if you need to block off a doorway, aim at the fence posts, and it'll really help. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I got for Junkrat and for Mei. So, yeah, I think that's more or less it. So, I hope that was useful. Definitely waffled on a bit more today than I usually do. Actually, no, I waffle on every day, but yeah, hopefully that was useful. I hope things are going well with the whole team reform and everything.
Yeah, it's very useful.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, I have to get going, unfortunately, but yeah,
it's okay.
Glad we could finally arrange a session. Good luck in the comp system if they ever fix it.
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty
Thank
funny.
you.
All right. No worries. See you around. Bye.
And that's it for watching.